better local representatives than our guy Dan Lucas, and a great shirt to join the show. Manchester United, my guy. You see the there you go, buddy. WFLA's own. I saw you change the Twitter handle already. It's already Dan
It's
Lucas Tampa. You're making
it's
it,
uh it's love hate our Man U loyalty. I mean,
brother. I said this on the show last week, and I brought it up, and it was the day I was gonna talk about it. The day like Liam Cohen bounced, and I was like, oh shit, this is a conversation that what team has the most love hate fan base. I actually did end up talking about it, but Man U's got to be on the list. Man
it's so
U,
yes.
and the Cowboys and some of these other but
Yes.
they're so much different than everybody else because it's one thing to have a team where everybody thinks they're good and then they shit the bed. Man U is completely different. Man U in one season will literally beat the greatest team on the planet and then lose to a team with half of the guys on their team are
Right.
electricians in the offseason.
Right.
It's crazy.
You know what I love about Premier League fans is you can you can say, well, our team is shite. That's what they say over there. But if you're from the outside and you say something bad about that team, it's war.
Yeah,
It's war. So you don't criticize other fan bases unless you're ready for war.
you got
But
that right, buddy.
brother, it's the cycle. It's always a cycle, in my opinion. But I've been a Man U guy since the early '90s. I was an Eric Cantona guy,
Mm-hmm.
and then a David Beckham culture. That was really my time,
Yeah.
and it's just been terrific ever since. And even in its tragic state, it's just terrific to watch.
It's
And
terrifically bad.
I think that they should have a contest when they finally demo
Mhm.
Old Trafford. They should have a contest and have one fan who suffered just push the thing down, and
I love that.
maybe
The
that could
final
like
kaboom.
change the whole. Yeah, exactly, change the whole future of the franchise for sure.
Dan Lucas, long time, 30 years covering sports here in the Tampa Bay area, hanging him up no longer with WFLA. You've been such a staple to Tampa sports here, man. What went into the decision and of you just kind of like moving on, man, and just kind of this next chapter in your life?
Well, 30 years is a long time.
Mhm.
23, almost 24 spent here at News Channel 8. I spent a good about 7 years up in Johnstown, Pennsylvania. Johnstown, Altoona State College was my market. We were right next to Pittsburgh, right smack in the middle of Pennsylvania. So Penn State country,
Mhm.
and that's how I got my start, and then had a lot of breaks along the way to get back home here to Tampa. But it is, yeah, agonizing decision, all mine. My contract just came to an end, and
Yeah.
I elected to go a different route. So many contracts, many news directors, many bosses over
Right.
the years, and many friends and colleagues along the way. And and you do this long enough, unfortunately, people we've lost along the way, and so it's just time to kind of right now. I'm taking a pause,
Good.
and then I got, hand in the fire, as they say, and so hopefully we'll, sooner rather than later, get cooking again. And the future is going to be here, most likely here home, the Bay Area. We'll see what I'm doing next, and kind of going back and forth between what's my passion, which obviously my passion is this industry, and then the old money grab.
Oh yeah.
Can I just go ahead and make the money grab? I mean, can we just do that? I got a lot of years left to work, so
Hmm.
it's going to be a chance to get on a run, doing something different. But this job has been so rewarding. I can't even begin I've been trying to thank everybody I can think of over the past days and weeks, and I'm gonna at some point forget somebody, and I feel awful about it, but it's just been great. So yeah, new direction, nothing that was nothing
Hmm.
ugly, nothing
Good. Good.
so no sour grapes. Don't feel sorry for old Dan Lucas. He's ready to rock and roll, do something different. My son was born while I was working at Channel 8. He's now in
Wow.
college. so that's a long tenure. He's a soccer player. He just finished his first season of college soccer.
Nice.
And it's one of the things that kind of weighed on me was all the games and things I've missed
Right.
over the years. And he's in college now, so that's a wake up call for me. Um, yeah, it just dad was always kind of went with Dan, the sports guy,
Right.
and he always has always rolled with it. And I think he thought it was a neat career, but I just want to sit and watch him and not have to come up with a damn post game interview.
Oh my God, they lost again. Let's go in there,
Right,
Dan.
exactly. What happened? Why'd you suck today?
Hey Dan,
Exactly.
they lost in the finals. Let's go. You know,
Right,
we've done this
exactly.
before. And
Right.
Dan, you're a great example of this. People ask me like the best part of our jobs, right? And I always say it's not the games, it's not the places that we went, it's the people that we work with. And you work with one of the absolute best in Bob Hansen. Like, just talk about your relationship with him. For those that don't know, Bob is I don't think it's hyperbole to say he's the best camera guy, the best photog in the Bay Area, without a doubt. His dry sense of humor, like he is, there is not a dull moment around Bobby Hansen. But I know you guys are thick as thieves, good buds, and have traveled, around the world together covering Tampa
Hmm.
Bay sports.
Yep, we have been around the world together, and Bob is. I can't. You try to come up with a description of certain people. I've called Bob a magician. The most talented ever. None of them are appropriate. They don't fit. He's a guy that, in our little world of local sports, um, is the entire thing. You
Mhm.
see the face, you watch the stories, you see the interviews. Bob Hansen is behind all of it. Um, just a masterful, videographer, shooter, editor. Puts together just absolute magic on a daily basis. And when he has time to sit down and really work on something, it is untouchable what he does. So Bob is really one of my best friends in my life over the years of not just working together, but sitting around. You go on these road trips. At some point, you're having one at the bar, and so
Mhm.
you talk about things and life, and so we know each other really well in that sense, and it's been a pleasure to work with him, and even the times. Oh man, I remember one time we were out. The Bucks played the Raiders out in Oakland, and I was dilly dallying around. He just went off on me, and I I snapped back. I go, I am well aware of the damn East Coast time. Thank you for reminding me. And just that's how that's when
Yeah.
you know you got it going on, man. When you
Right.
two can do that, and at the end of the night, go, all right, let's go get one.
Mhm.
And so he's just one of the great ones. We've been through a lot. A lot of it you really can't say.
Right. Yes, this is a
A lot
family
of it you
friendly
really
show. We
can't
we
say. Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
we can talk about our meals that we've gone together. I remember going to when we were in Colorado eating venison. I was like, venison? What the hell's wrong?
Venison.
Let's eat
We
a
were.
venison burger.
Oh yeah, no, that the Stanley Cup final with the Lightning and the Avalanche. We're all tight knit, us locals.
Hmm.
So we ate dinners together. We went to a Rockies game together
Yes, the
on an off
Rockies
day,
game.
and
Oh, that
yeah,
was
we're sitting
so
down. We're
great.
we're I remember at dinner. You and I had to look after Phil Esposito one night after dinner. I,
Oh my
Jay,
God, Dan, I totally forgot about that.
Jay, Jay,
Oh
you
my
get the
God.
left arm. I'll get the
Oh
right
my
arm,
God.
and we'll get him. We'll get him there. We'll get
Oh
him there,
my
baby.
God.
Don't
And
worry
he's like,
about
nobody needs to walk me to my hotel. Phil, we are all walking together. There's like
We're all
15 of
walking
us.
together.
Nobody needs to walk me. Phil, we're all walking in the same direction.
Exactly.
He's just, and I've said it on the show before. Like, I didn't want to sit next to Phil, not because I didn't want to talk to him, but because like I talk to him every game. So I wanted
Right.
somebody else to get, and he comes over. I guess I know where I'm fucking sitting tonight. And I'm like, oh my God, let's get the wine going. I'm like, oh my
Well, one of
God.
my first. I've known Phil a long time. One of my sports moments. Um, you hit the nail on the head, and I even said this in my little message on Twitter the other night. It's not so much plays and trophies that I've seen raised. It's the thing that no one else gets to do that I was a part of or witnessed, or in the night that the Lightning won the Stanley Cup in '04, we all had different assignments where to be in the arena for the final horn, and I was up in the radio booth with Michigan and Espo, and so as soon as the horn went, and it was just so magical. No one knew what to do. No one knew what to
Mhm.
say. Michigan's doing his thing, and Esposito is just, it's like watching your child achieve something.
Mhm.
And the man was in tears, and he gets up and he's look turns around and he just wants to embrace somebody. And I'm the guy standing there, barely knows me, pulls me in for the tightest hug I've ever had in my life. And that was my really first full interaction with Phil Esposito. And then I was never afraid to talk to him after that. And we talked about that moment every once in a while and have a good laugh. But he's he's a gem, and there's so many guys that in over 30 years of doing this I've come cross paths with, and that's what I cherish the most is those relationships, and just listening to the guys talk, man. I do a lot more listening than talking,
You got
especially when
that.
I'm around the great ones.
Yeah. Who is your favorite player to cover?
Favorite player to cover? Gosh, I would say favorite player. I would have to go with uh probably either Marty St. Louis or James Shields.
Really? Okay.
Those were two of my favorites. Uh, and why? Because everything other than what they did,
Right.
Marty always had time for a chat. James Shields, I talked to him quite a bit, especially in the season before he was off to Kansas City.
Mhm.
Actually ran into him at a Cracker Barrel once.
Oh.
And my son was there, and he said hi to my son. My son had his Rays hat on. Time was
Oh my
perfect
god.
timing. But I'd say those two guys, they all blend together to an extent over the years of guys who are in the middle of their playing career. And sometimes you think you're in good standing, but you're not. It's kind of weird sometimes. Like for
Right.
instance, I'll give you an example. I'd say a guy that has really become a good friend is Rondé Barber over the years, but it wasn't really till after Rondé's career had ended that my relationship really started to take shape with Rondé. So he was already buddies with guys in our office, but it just took a while. I was the new guy, and so it took a while to develop. And once it did, it was a joy. I mean, so it's been uh, terrific in that sense. But covering Rondé as a player, he was a guy in the Bucks, so
Yeah. Well, there's
I
that
enjoyed it.
like that's a great point that you bring up because there is like a little bit of a there's a little barrier there even when they're still playing because there's a professionalism to it. And I felt exactly what you're saying last night because I'm doing a story on Ryan McDonough. And
Hmm.
I'm yesterday I talked to Patrick Maroon after the game. I talked to Victor Hedman and Eric Chernak during the day, and like they were being very friendly. And then after the game, like I see how they like talk to each other, and it's just a reality thing where I think sometimes people get so this misconception, like, oh yeah, they're your friends. Like, no, this is like you could be friendly, but there's a difference
Yes,
between friendly and friends. Like, this is still kind of a work thing right here. And
right.
I can understand how people may think it's something different. It's almost like fall in love with the first girl that you see dancing at the club. Like she doesn't love
Exactly.
you, she just wants your money. Favorite coach to cover?
Oh, easy. Joe Madden.
Yeah, it's
Joe
not close.
Madden. Joe Madden by 100 miles, and I've covered a ton of great coaches and have had relationships with great coaches, all the way up to to saying good night the other night, and Buccaneers coaches over the years. Sometimes the Bucks head coaches who were outside the building had fans with torches lit, and I'm inside. I'm inside the building talking about what they ordered for Christmas on Amazon. Yeah. And so, but Joe Madden was and is my favorite of all time because whether it was 15 seconds in passing during batting practice or one day when I was sitting in the dugout because I stole a bunch of bubble gum, Joe came in and sat down next to me, and I thought, you're not gonna say anything about the bubble gum, right? And we sat and talked for about 9, 10 minutes. um, we never ever talked about baseball, We talked about so many
Mhm.
other things. Music, that was his thing. That's how we connected. And then we just, over the years, conversations, which went to last year. He was doing his Thanksmas dinner over in Clearwater
Mhm.
for the folks at the shelter. And man, we just kind of picked up where we left off. It was I hadn't talked to him in like 7 years, um, and it was just great again. So I love the man, and I just I miss him dearly. And it's funny because Kevin Cash, I love him too,
Right.
different in a different way
Mhm.
than Joe Matt. I just felt like Joe just uplifted me
Yeah.
every time. I was never his intent. It's just the way he was. When you walked away from the conversation, just feeling better.
It's so funny how that like him and Tony Dungy, like when they walk out of the room, you
Yeah,
go, and you're just smiling for no reason. You're like, why am I so happy right now? And I think that's
exactly.
good people. Who is the one like under the radar player or coach that isn't a big name that you had a good time covering or you just remember being around?
Under the radar for a player, um, I would have to say some of our tennis and golf, Bay Area folks who made it out of here,
Mhm.
and not even like a Nelly Corda, for instance,
Right.
who's a star, but Brittany Lincecum over the years,
Mhm.
the guys in tennis coming in over the years, kind of the off the radar guys for me. But if you really wanted to go with some of the players, I would say at the time, Matt Grothy, when he was quarterback at USF, just because we had a relationship with him from high school. Um, so he played in a state championship game against Armwood. And so, we were able to establish that before he got to USF. And then, of course, he's part of one of the greatest eras of USF football. And then his name took off, but he treated us like the local guys. So
Yeah.
it was always different with him. So that kind of the under the radar. There's a lot of guys like that, Jay. A
Mhm.
ton. Some role players on the team that you just hit it off with. Johnny Damon
Mhm.
was a bigger name, especially a free agency name. And when he came to the Rays, he was a name. But he was a role player on that team, and I always enjoyed chatting with him. I'll tell you a funny story about Johnny Damon. Um, he went to Dr. Phillips High School in Orlando,
Mhm.
as did my very first college roommate,
Oh.
who was on the golf team at FSU. And this guy, let's just say my roommate, he could party. This guy knew how to throw down. And one day I had to get him up. I'm like, don't you guys play today? And he goes, yeah, I like literally got him up. He was on the tee in about an hour, and he was not in good shape. He went out and shot par.
Oh my
I'd
gosh.
say so. Years later, I'm sitting down with Johnny Damon at the Trop, and we're miking him up for a sit down interview, and I'm just chatting with him. I said, Johnny, did you know this guy, Dr. Phillips, back in the day? Because we're all similar in age. And he goes, yeah, I know who he is. He goes, he was a little bit older than me, but I went to school with his brother, man. And I'll tell you what, those dudes could party. And so that Johnny Damon, that was our connection, the Dr. Phillips connection with these the Ziegler brothers. Man, those guys could party. And then I'm like, yeah, and then go out and shoot 70 on the course. It's ridiculous.
Unbelievable. I want to ask you
Exactly.
about some of our local meet because, like, it's you have covered every single team, every single sport. Who is that one person that you've worked with over the years that was just like uber talented or just because, like, I look at it, for example, I'll give you an example. Trevor Sikkema was a guy that when he was with Pewter Report, I was like, this guy won't be here very long. Like,
Right.
he's going to be, and he's Draft Network now. He's like one of the main guys on Pro Football Focus. You see him on Dan Patrick and the NFL Network. Who's that one person you worked here for over 2 decades that some of the more talented people that you worked with, maybe in a different TV station or a writer? Like, who do you just look at and be like, wow, that person's legit?
So many, too many. Trevor's on the list.
Yeah.
By the way, Trevor Sikkema and he used to do some stuff with us when he was with Peter
Yeah.
Report. But he and I had this great moment together. the Bucks were playing at the Seahawks, and so we got up to the press box, set our stuff down, and at the same time, we both discovered in the back of the press box that there was a Starbucks barista making like it was like literally a Starbucks in the press box, and she's like, "Hey, how's it going?" I'm like, can I get you a latte, Trevor?" And she's just churning out coffee the whole game. So that was
That's great.
Trevor's moment. But Trevor's a good one. A lot of writers that left over the years. Stephen Holder, who's now in. I apologize.
No, you're good.
So I just, what's funny, based on that question, it's kind of our former interns
Mhm.
that I have seen gone on to great things. Jordan Giorgio, who's now CBS Sports
Mhm.
Network, she's doing a lot of college football studio. She was a good one who went on to do something. We had a guy named Max Gershberg, called him Mad Max. This kid, I sent him to the Trop one day, and I said, Max, Chicago has asked us if we can get a soundbite with Ozzie Guillen uh, for their show. And I said, just go in there, let the writers do their thing, just get the mic in there, and we'll send it up there. Okay, okay, okay. So I said, because Max was aggressive, and we get back, he's get the tape, and it's the first question is Max. Skip, noticed you guys hit and run in that situation last night. I was thought I'd get your thoughts on that. I'm like, Max, all I did was ask you to hold the microphone, just not even ask, don't even talk. And he goes, I know, but I thought of a question first. So I'm like, okay, thank you. So Mad Max goes on. He wanted to be on TV so bad. And then he changed gears in the middle of his internship and decided so he got into production. He went to New York, and you guys remember the show Real Sports with Brian Gumble?
Yeah.
Yeah, he became a producer for that show
Wow.
and eventually climbed to the top of the ladder, producing those segments, and went all over the world. And to me, he's a great success story, someone I'm proud of, who is still doing the business, and has gone on to do great, great things. So Max Gershberg, the intern, we've had a lot get around. Stephen Holder from the Times, Trevor Sikkema going on, who's going to get bigger and bigger. It's only a matter of time for
Yeah.
NFL Network steals them.
Right.
And then we've had just even before me, like Jay Crawford, those guys making it out to bigger and better things. It's been terrific to watch.
Yeah, we've had so many incredible people here in the Tampa Bay area. Probably none more talented than you, my friend. You will be sorely missed around the ballpark and the rink and the field. And we wish you all the success in the world. I thank you for your colleagueship, your friendship, and all the times that we've spent together. This isn't the end, just the start of a new, beautiful chapter. So I can't wait to see what you're going to do next. But thank you so much for your stories today, all your memories, and all your hard work over the years, traveling all over the world covering Tampa Bay sports. So thanks so much for the time today, brother. Go Man United. As always, we got to get together finally now that your schedule's opened up a little bit and
Yeah,
watch a game. But thank you so much, brother, and we'll talk to you again soon.
yep. I could be around. I'm staying in the area, and I could be in the game in some fashion, but just this chapter is over for me, and hoping to do something a little bit different moving forward, and being a dad, that would be nice.
Landukas, as I call him, my guy Landukas, the one
There
and
you
only.
go. There you go.
Thanks. I appreciate you, Dan. We'll talk to you again. Have a great rest of your week, buddy.
All right, Jay, be good, brother.
You got it.